Yep, it's happening. It is happening. There we go. There we go. All right, Lucy. How was your breakfast? How was your breakfast? What's up, everybody? I hope everyone is doing well. I hope everyone is having an amazing morning. What's up, Jesus? What's up, Tim? What's up, Karen? What's up, Tony? Hope everyone is doing very well. And yes, Rick Ocasek, we're going to be talking about that a little bit. What's up, Reefer Revolution? Good to see you. It's been a minute. What's up, DLJ? What's up, Daniel? Yeah, it's very sad, Tony. I'm with you. It's a bummer. What's up, Henry? I'm wonderful. What's up, Matthew? Hit those likes, everyone, says Daniel. Daniel, that's great advice. I like it. I like it very much. Yeah, Benigno, we're going to be talking about that. The working families went for Warren. We are going to be talking about that later in the stream. We're also going to be talking about the GM strike. And we're going to be talking about a couple other things. We're going to be talking about the cars. We're going to be talking about Eddie Money. It's a sad music Monday, by the way. It is a sad music Monday. And Lucy is doing good. She had a good weekend, right, Lucy? I'm talking about you. She had a good week. This morning, she had to have her dry food. She doesn't love, or excuse me, not dry food, her wet food. She doesn't love her wet food, but it's good for her to have her wet food. It's good for her kidneys. It's kind of like making a kid eat their peas. You know what I mean? Like she doesn't like her wet food that much, but I got to make her eat it occasionally. But I can't. It's not like I can do the whole like. She's here, by the way. I think over the lower third, you can't see her, but she's sitting right here on the desk. You can stand up, Lucy, and everyone will see you. But yeah, there you just saw a tail. But yeah, she. It's not like a kid where you can be like, well, you can't leave the table until you finish your vegetables, finish your peas. Like she, can't be like, you can't leave your bowl. So she finishes it at her leisure, because she can't. She's not as big on the wet food. I don't know. Do you guys have cats? Do your cats love the wet food? She's not big. She prefers the dry food. And to be honest, I prefer the dry food because her wet food smells very strong. It has a very potent aroma, but it's healthy for her and it's good for her. And she does like it. I mean, she eats it. She does like it, but she doesn't like it as much. Anyway, folks, before we get into what the working party endorsed Warren over Bernie, we're going to talk about that. We're also going to be talking about some music news. Unfortunately, not a lot of good music news today. But first, I wanted to go here. This story concerns Pete Buttigieg. This is about Pete Buttigieg. And first part of this clip, I just kind of thought was more more mawkish, sentimental nonsense. But the second part of this clip, and it's only a minute long, second part of it, I think Pete Buttigieg nailed it. I don't agree with Pete Buttigieg on a lot. I don't agree with many of his policy ideas. I don't think we need more centrism. I don't think his healthcare plan would work because it wouldn't. For a healthcare plan, an extensive universal healthcare plan to work, you need everybody in the pool. You need young people, old people, healthy people, sick people. You need everybody in the pool because then it's just organized on the national level and it drives down the cost for everybody. And that's what pretty much every industrialized nation in the world has. And it works. Here in the United States, we don't have that. And if you had a system where people could have the option, buy into it if they want to, and then still allow the private insurance industry to exist, well, it's going to be fragmented. And you're going to have mostly sick people trying to buy into it. Then it wouldn't work. And then people would say, see, it doesn't work. And it would just be scrapped again. And to people that say, oh, well, Pete Buttigieg has his plan. And it's not just Pete Buttigieg. There's other centrists that share that plan or something similar. Well, Pete Buttigieg has that plan because he knows that people don't want a sharp change. They don't want like a huge shit, which is just nonsense that the media feeds us, first of all. Second of all, they say, oh, well, you know, people were upset when Obamacare got rolled out because it was such a big change all at once. No, people were upset about Obamacare, which, by the way, was Romney Care. They were upset about that because they thought they were going to be able to afford their health care or afford health care in general, and they still couldn't. Why? Because the insurance industry was still at the table. That's why people didn't like Obamacare. That's why people were outraged about Obamacare. Not because there was such a big change all of a sudden. That's not why people had a problem with Obamacare. People had a problem with Obamacare because they still couldn't afford their health care. Okay? So that's why I do not like Pete Buttigieg's plan. I don't think it's a good plan. And I bring all this up because when I made a video about Pete Buttigieg before, and I said, hey, some of you people who are Pete Buttigieg fans and you get really upset about the fact that I sometimes like to say his name like Count Chocula, and I say Pete Buttigieg, which is a thing from both of our generations. You know, instead of doing that, tell me one of his policies you like. And some of you guys did, which kudos to you. Disagree with you a bunch, but I applaud you for at least saying, hey, I like his healthcare plan better because I don't think we can handle a sharp change all at once and all this. No, that's why Pete Buttigieg's plan wouldn't work. It doesn't get everybody in the poll. For a national universal healthcare plan to work, you need everyone in the poll. All right, so anyway, but here's somewhere where I think he kind of nails it at the second part here. So here we go. Let's listen to this.
Sanders-Warren approach is that it can polarize Americans when we have other ways to deliver bold solutions without dividing the American people further. My difference with the vice president is that I also don't think promising that we're going back to normal is going to be a message that'll hit.
Okay, so wait. All right, so that first part was just nonsense. Oh, the Sanders and Warren, they're just going to divide people further. Having bold ideas might divide people. So let's just be gentle. Let's be soft. Let's talk about some maybe incrementalism. Maybe we don't even need to talk about policy. Like in that Onion article about Pete Buttigieg, where he has a picnic and discourages all policy talk. That's an Onion article. Although when he makes statements like this, that Onion article, kind of the truth, right? All right. But starting around here, this is where he starts to nail it. He's referring to Joe Biden here. And here's what he says about the status quo and part of the reason why we are where we are. He nails it here. Ironically enough, he also gives a great sales pitch for not voting for him and for voting for a Bernie Sanders. He also indirectly gives a great sales pitch for why he should. I mean, he is a centrist, middle of the road, status quo corporate candidate. And he realizes that's not what we need. He straight up realizes he might. I mean, if he was being totally honest, the way he would end this segment would be, and by the way, you shouldn't vote for me because I let Wall Street dictate my policies. And I know that's not what we need, because here he is right here saying that this is not what we need. Lucy, are you bailing? All right. Here we go.
Is going to be a message that'll hit people well, certainly where I come from in the industrial Midwest.
So he's basically saying the vice president saying things are just going to go back to normal. That's not going to roll with people. People aren't going to be thrilled about that, especially in the Midwest.
There are a lot of people who voted for this current president, not because they think he's a good guy, but because normal wasn't working for them and they were ready to more or less vote to burn the house down. If all we have to offer is hey, let's dial it back and go back to what we were doing. If it feels like we're looking to the past, I think that message is going to come up short when we get to Election Day.
He nailed it. He nailed it. That is 100% correct what he just said. 100% correct what he just said. Don't agree with Pete Buttigieg on a lot, but right there, that's 100% true. Now, so Pete Buttigieg knows what the problem is. He knows that so many people, they voted for Obama thinking their lives were going to get better. And then Obama continued the same neoliberal policies because Obama, by his own admission, said, I'm a moderate Republican. That's not me saying something bad about Obama. That's what Obama said about himself. And it's the truth. Obama admits to that. So Pete Buttigieg knows what we need. He knows that we need a bold vision forward, that we need a sharp turn. He's not offering it. He knows we need it. He knows that the status quo has failed. He knows that a lot of people took a chance on Trump, not because they thought Trump was a good dude, but because they bought the same Washington insider nonsense for so long. Some of them probably voted for Clinton and then gave Bush a shot and then took a chance on Obama. Some of them might have voted straight Republican or straight Democrat. And the status quo, as usual, was not making their lives any better. So they took a chance on this faux outsider, Donald Trump. He's not an outsider. It's all fake. The only way he's an outsider is he talks meaner. He talks meaner. And instead of being somebody inside as a politician, he was the person buying the politicians. It's the only difference. That's not an outsider. But he branded himself as an outsider, and it worked. And people took a chance on that. And Pete Buttigieg knows that that's what people want. They want a sharp change. And he's not offering it. Why isn't he offering it? If he knows that that's what people want, if he knows that's what this country needs, why isn't he offering that? Why isn't he actually offering progressive policies? Well, because of this. Because he knows where his funding comes from. And the only reason he's still in this race at all is because of the high dollar donations that he gets and the dinners that he throws. So Pete Buttigieg nailed it on the problem. And Pete Buttigieg basically unintentionally gave a ringing endorsement for not voting for him and gave a ringing endorsement for supporting Bernie Sanders. But speaking of endorsements, let's go here next. This was shared by Christina, and this is also kind of going viral on the blogosphere as we speak. Christina, thank you for sharing this. And this is kind of a little bit surprising and disappointing. Working Families Party endorses Elizabeth Warren after backing Bernie Sanders in 2016. This is from the Daily Beast. So chances are everybody at the Daily Beast was popping champagne while they wrote this headline. They were probably thrilled about this. Keep in mind, Chelsea Clinton sits on the board of the Daily Beast. Anyway, Working Families Party endorses Elizabeth Warren after backing Bernie Sanders in 2016. After backing Bernie Sanders in 2016, Working Families Party on Monday voted to endorse Elizabeth Warren. So it came down to a vote. Warren earned almost 61% of the vote in the first round of ranked choice, followed by Sanders on almost 36%. More than 80% of voters listed Warren and Sanders as their top two picks. So right off the bat, what might be going on here is this is that whole thing of this is that whole electability issue that they bring up, where you have the corporate media telling you 24 hours a day that a Bernie Sanders is unelectable, despite having the largest grassroots following, despite coming out of nowhere in a 2016 primary and winning 22 states, despite being the person who mobilizes more small dollar support, meaning individual support, than any other candidate, despite beating Trump in poll after poll after poll. You still have a corporate media that won't say his name. I think there was something that came out like ABC has spent a matter of minutes covering him. And you're told that someone like a Warren is more electable. So when you're given a ranked choice ballot, and maybe you're somebody who has listened to those messages time and time again, and it started to take root, you're handed a ranked choice ballot where you can say, okay, who are the people that you want? You might say, gee, I feel like Warren's the most electable, so I'm going to vote for her. But Sanders is definitely my number two. Now, on a ranked choice ballot, you should actually probably do the opposite. You should do the opposite, where you should say, this is the person I like the best. This is the person that I would want second best. But you get the idea. There's some people that might have been their logic going through this. They're convinced Bernie's not electable. And they know that they don't want to see 4 more years of Trump. So they're like, well, my first choice is the person who's most electable, who the media has shoved down my throat is electable. So that could be part of it, but let's go on. Let's see what else is going on here. Here's a quote from the Working Families Party National Director, Maurice Mitchell. Senator Warren strikes fear into the hearts of the robber barons who rigged the system and offers hope to millions of working people who have been shut out of our democracy and economy. Our job now is to help Senator Warren build the mass movement that will make her transformational plans a reality. Maurice, given your line of work, or rather your position, you have to know how the thing with those robber barons ended. Elizabeth Warren wagged her finger at Wells Fargo, and she made a damn good speech. It was a great speech. It sounded fantastic. There have been other people who have sat in the White House and talked really great and then did next to nothing. We actually had that for 8 years under Obama, and that's why we have Trump now. And Warren followed in Obama's footsteps there of saying great words and sounding fantastic. It was an inspiring speech. It really was. And then she did nothing. No prosecution, nothing. She did absolutely nothing. So she'll have a good moment when the cameras are on, but it will equal zero action. Just like she has backpedaled on Medicare for all. She cannot explain her military budget votes, but when the camera's on, she'll talk about the military budget and how bad it is. But she can't explain why she's voted for it in the recent past. And if the national director of the Working Families Party doesn't realize that that's how that moment ended, that, they're going to use this as a talking point to prop up Liz Warren and say, hey, Robert Barron, she strikes fear in them. Really? Are they worried she's going to yell at them? I don't think that strikes fear in them. I think it would strike fear in them if she actually got behind policy that would break up the big banks, like what Bernie Sanders wants to do. So if you don't know that that's not how that ended, that, she wagged her finger and it was a great moment. It was a great speech, but then she did nothing. She took no action. Do you not realize that's how that ended? And if you don't, why are you the director of this organization? And I don't know anything about Maurice Mitchell. I really don't. Other than that they are the national director for the Working Families Party. But why would you point to that when you know how it ended? And if you don't know how it ended, why would you point to it? She made a great speech, yeah, but then she did nothing. Why would you want to accent something where her actions didn't match her words? Is that what we want in a leader? That's not what I want in a leader. We can't afford that, by the way. We can't afford somebody else who talks nice and then does nothing. We can't afford that right now. We really can't. We can't afford 4 years of underwhelming policy. So then a Republican wins again in 2024, which, by the way, I don't think Liz Warren would beat Trump. I think it's highly unlikely she would beat Trump. I think he would go to, just the fact that she was willing to take that DNA test, he will. She'll beat him in the debates. She won't, from a debate standpoint, she won't lose, but he'll have his soundbite moments. He'll have his zinger moments. He'll rile up his base. She's not going to appeal to unlikely voters. There's not people that don't go out and vote. They're not going to show up if she's the nominee. And then she's going to do more dumb things like, oh, I'm going to boycott Fox News. There's 3 major news networks in this country that are all equally corrupt and shouldn't exist because none of them have any business being in news and information. All 3 of them are conservative. One is neo-fascist. The other 2 are just right-wing. So you're going to not go on the neo-fascist one and you think you're somehow proving something when you're a politician. If you're a politician, you go on every platform and you try to connect with people. You don't not go on a platform just because it's some fringe right-wing platform. When it's a major news network. It's still a major news network in this country. It shouldn't be, but it is. And if it is, and you're a politician, you go on it. And if you don't go on it, that reflects on you. Because that doesn't scream leader. That screams coward. And you're not making some moral stand. That's ridiculous. And this is who the working families think will be the bold leader that can beat Trump. They think that can beat Trump, apparently. All right, let's see what other quotes are in here. We're lucky to have two strong progressive candidates leading in this race. Senator Warren and Senator Sanders have both helped shape the ideological terrain on which this campaign is being waged. They have proven an effective team on debate stations and in the polls, and we hope the partnership continues. We're proud to call both of them allies in this fight for a more just America. Well, Liz Warren also has the support of Center for American Progress and Third Way, all those centrist organizations that are more focused on defeating any progressive agenda than they are defeating Trump. So this is disappointing news that the working families endorsed Liz Warren over Bernie. And I think it has to do with, well, they think that Liz Warren is the more electable because, you know, when cable news keeps telling you time and time again that Bernie's unelectable, that Bernie's some fringe guy, and they just don't cover him, they just ignore him, they don't even list him. I mean, half the time they don't even mention Bernie when they're talking about viable candidates. I mean, you can see clip and time again. They'll mention Biden, they'll mention Warren, then they'll mention someone like Cory Booker even, or Klobuchar. I mean, some of these cable news networks, it's like, when are you going to mention Bernie? So, and I guess, unfortunately, that stuff's effective. That stuff is effective. Because the Working Families Party just made the wrong call. And I don't know. I mean, maybe, you know, I don't know a ton about that organization. Maybe they're just straight up not progressive at all. I'm not crazy familiar with that organization. I'm not crazy familiar with the director, but it's weird that you would pick a quote where you would say, yeah, remember this thing she did with the bankers? You mean when she made a good speech and then did nothing else? When she didn't have any action? Oh, go back to bed, America. She made a good speech. The guy probably felt bad about himself. The guy from Wells Fargo probably felt bad for like 30 seconds. Then he saw his bank account, felt good again. Liz Warren strikes fear in nobody. The only people Liz Warren strikes fear in should be the people who don't want to see Trump get reelected. That's who Liz Warren should strike fear in. The people who don't want 4 more years of Trump. Because she'd lose. All right. Okay, so here's some more encouraging news. Strike news. This comes from Tim. Thank you, Tim, for sharing this. When we fight, we win. Protesting stagnant wages as GM rakes in record profits. 50,000 auto workers go on strike. This is happening right now. Demanding fair wages, decent healthcare benefits, and their share of General Motors' record-level profits, nearly 50,000 United Auto members went on strike just before midnight Sunday following failed contract negotiations. So just before midnight last night, they went on strike. Today, we stand strong and say with one voice, we are standing up for our members and for the fundamental rights of working-class people in this nation, said UAW Vice President Terry Dides, maybe? I don't know. Sorry, Terry. Probably mispronounced your last name. You're welcome on this show. Come on this show so we can get that right. So I'd love to interview you. All right. So this will grind to a halt dozens of plants across the U.S. This is pumping the brakes. Huh? Am I right? We just pumped the brakes on production because we're going on strike. Yeah. The national walkout, which comes after the previous collective bargaining agreement expired early Sunday, represents the largest auto strike in more than a decade. According to the New York Times, GM and union leadership are far apart in the talks, as the corporation is pushing for employees to pay a greater portion of their healthcare costs, even as it rakes in huge profits. Pointing to sacrifices workers made to help GM survive in the wake of the 2008 financial crisis, including giving up cost of living pay increase, Terry said, we stood up for General Motors when they needed us most. Now we are standing together in unity and solidarity for our members, their families, and the communities where we work and live. And here's a couple tweets. This is from 49,000 auto workers across the country, including thousands here in Western New York, are on strike. GM strike is official. Yeah. And their motto is, when we fight, we win. I mean, it's true. The workers made these sacrifices in 2008. And the bailouts happened. And even separate from the bailouts, there were a lot of loans that happened too. I know, not every car company participated in the direct bailout money, but they also got very business-friendly loans. So they were still part of it to a degree. I know I did a video on Ford once where I mentioned how, they got this assistance in 2008. They weren't part of the actual bailout money itself, but still, like, there were all these friendly loans given to these companies. Basically, the administration had their back, and then they all turned their back on their workers. They all got the assistance they needed, and then they turned their back on their workers. And that's what's happening here with GM, and the workers have had enough of it, and they're going on strike. And I hope these workers get every one of their demands met, bar none. I hope they get all their demands met. So the strike happened as of today. It happened now. It happened, well, technically midnight as of last night. But, I don't know if there were any. Are there like any midnight to like 7? I guess there probably are, right? Like there's probably shifts that go midnight to 7 a.m. in that industry. So I guess there's probably a couple shifts now that there's been a strike for. So I hope they get everything they want. Absolutely everything they want, bar none. All right, we'll watch this as it's unfold. It's happening in real time. It's happening now. It's breaking news. Tim, thank you for bringing it to my attention. All right. So here is some more news when it comes to, we'll go here first. This is also from Common Dreams, by the way. This is from Common Dreams. And let's see here. Oh, this is from Failed Evolution in our Reddit subsection. I wanted to see. I was like, who brought this to my attention? I know I didn't. This is from Failed Evolution over on the Reddit subsection. That's where this article comes from. Thank you, Failed Evolution, for sharing this. All right. So here's what happened. In a disgusting move, Jeff Bezos abruptly cuts health benefits for nearly 2,000 part-time Whole Foods workers. I am in shock. Here's what one of the employees had to say. I am in shock. I've worked here for 15 years. This is why I keep the job, because of my benefits. Amazon founder Jeff Bezos on Thursday cut benefits for part-time workers at his grocery chain Whole Foods, drawing criticism from the left for a move that could leave thousands of people without health insurance. Jeff Bezos is the richest man in the world, Boston-based activist Jonathan Cohn said on Twitter. This is disgusting. Jeff Bezos makes over $3,000 a second. Jeff Bezos just made about 10 grand. Jeff Bezos just made about 20 grand. Jeff Bezos just made about 30 grand. I'm going to do this for like 40 more minutes. No, I'm just kidding. Don't. Do you guys get it? Jeff Bezos just made like 6 figures. And that's the truth. And he won't give, and now he's cutting health insurance benefits. First of all, this is why we need Medicare for all right here, because you have people like Jeff Bezos who are billionaires who will never want, ever, who have more money than they could spend in multiple lifetimes. Their families will never want. Their children's children will never want. They are rich beyond comprehension, and they're cutting benefits. Why are they doing that? Because at this point, it has nothing to do with economics from where they're sitting at this point. It's an ego thing, and it is a disorder. I mean, to have that amount of greed and that amount of just disregard for you don't get to be a billionaire, honestly. Okay? It just doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. You screw people over in the process. You hurt people in the process. That's how you become a billionaire. And there shouldn't be billionaires. There should be protections in this country so that one person cannot amass that much wealth. Well, half the people in the country can't afford a $1,000 emergency. That shouldn't happen. That shouldn't happen in a society. And this is why you want employers to be responsible for people's health care, or you want to have a plan where that can still happen, where employers can still pull stuff like this. So then you have a plan where some people have employer-based health care and they have private health insurance. Other people, they pay into a system. So you get people who get screwed over by their employers, or sick people that don't have anywhere else to go. And then you can throw up your hands and say, oh, a national system doesn't work, when a Medicare for all system would work, because that's what most of the industrialized world has, and it works there. It would work when you have everybody in the pool. It would work. That's why, option, choice, blah, blah, blah. It's all nonsense. What choice do you have? The choice to get sick and die? And yeah, there's nothing. What else can you say about this other than, this is beyond disgusting. This is light years beyond disgusting. And you know what else this is? This is capitalism. This is what capitalism is. Because you're concerned about the bottom line at all costs. And you see your workers and the human beings who allow your business to be possible. You see them as just disposable widgets. This is capitalism. And I am so sick of the United States. We have been fed this bullshit for so long that somehow all of these other factors are somehow linked to capitalism when they're not. The entrepreneurial spirit is not unique to capitalism. Being a creative professional is not made possible because of capitalism. Philanthropy, Bono from U2, if you're listening, I'm sure you're not. I'm sure you don't listen to this show. But Bono, philanthropy is not because of capitalism. Good deeds happen in spite of capitalism, not because of it. We link all these other things to capitalism when they're not. There's no association. Capitalism is the issue. It always does the exact same thing whenever it is tried. Whenever it is tried, it does the same thing. So is there a moral way we can have a No, there's not, because that's not what capitalism does. You realize that in a market socialism economy, you still have all the things that we associate with entrepreneurship and the free market. You still have that in a market socialism economy. You know that, right? You do. The only difference is workers have rights. That's the difference. Workers have rights. Jeff Bezos does this. This is capitalism at work. The person who has a dream and is trying to be a musician or a poet or a comedian, that's not capitalism, okay? That's not capitalism. That's the human condition to want to create. That has nothing to do with an economic system, all right? That's not capitalism, okay? The person who wants to start a pizza shop and they're able to do it, that's also not capitalism. Again, in a market socialism society, that same thing can and would happen all the time. All the time. That's not capitalism. The fact that we went to the moon, that's not capitalism. That's actually quite the opposite. That's when we had a strong middle class. So there was a garage inventor mentality in this country, and we flourished because of it. That's not capitalism. This is capitalism. Jeff Bezos taking healthcare away from his part-time employees, some of them who have relied on it for 15 years, just because he can. Just because he saw something in his bottom line he doesn't like, and that guy makes $3,000 a second. That's capitalism. That's what capitalism is. Charitable acts to help hungry people, Bono from U2, is not capitalism. Capitalism has never lifted anyone out of poverty. So let's stop conflating other things with capitalism that have nothing to do with capitalism. Let's stop equating these positive things that aren't bad things in and of their own with capitalism. They can exist. Yeah, markets exist in a capitalist society, sure. But that's not exclusive to capitalism or because of capitalism. You get the idea? All right. This is capitalism. This right here. You want to know what capitalism? What capitalism is? This right there. Jeff Bezos abruptly cutting health benefits. The richest person on the face of the world who will never want his children will never want. His children's children will never want. He makes $3,000 a second. He just wants to take healthcare benefits away from his most struggling employees because he can. And we have an employer-based healthcare system, so something like that's very catastrophic. If we had an actual Medicare for all universal system, this wouldn't even be a headline. This wouldn't even be in the news because he wouldn't be providing healthcare in the first place. Unreal. All right. So that was nauseating, wasn't it? How disgusting. Oh, and we're supposed to celebrate people like him too, by the way. We're supposed to celebrate. People like him are supposed to be revered. They're supposed to be revered as if you work hard, you too can do stuff like that. No. If you work hard, you can do great things, but you do not become a billionaire ethically. It doesn't exist. It doesn't happen. We should stop celebrating these people. Stop celebrating Jeff Bezos. And if you're on the left and you like Jeff Bezos because he doesn't like Trump, you think he dislikes Trump because of Trump's awful policies? No, he dislikes Trump because they're having a measuring contest. And you picked your plutocrat like a sheep. You don't have to pick a villain. Unbelievable. I had someone once say, you don't like Jeff Bezos? He doesn't like Trump. I'm like, what planet are you on? Jeff Bezos doesn't like Trump, so he must be a good guy, right? No, they're both horrible. You don't have to pick a villain. Pick your plutocrat, pleb. Well, I'm not picking my plutocrat. I'm not picking my plutocrat. Not now, not ever. Ugh. Yeah, that Bezos story really got in my craw a little bit, you guys. I don't even feel like I need coffee anymore. Sheesh. That story really pissed me off. Between that and the delusion that Liz Warren would actually be good for working people, between those two things, I'm really mad this Monday. I got a couple more things here. So the California legislature happened, or the legislative session, excuse me, that ended. And there were some good things that happened. We had a rent control bill that went through on the state level. We had a bill to help out Uber and Lyft workers in the state and other contract workers. But we didn't quite get everything. And here's one of our misses. This is shared by not Christina. Christina shared the Working Families Liz Warren story. This story was shared by Susan. Susan, thank you for sharing this story. And sometimes I can't even read my own handwriting. But thank you, Susan. All right. So here's where California fell short. California fails to pass bills that would have led nation in fighting plastic waste. All right, so California ended its 2019 legislative session on Saturday without passing two bills that would have led the nation in tackling plastic pollution. Again, they did pass some good stuff. There were some reasons for optimism, the rent control and the bill for contract workers. There was some good things, but here's where we fell short. Let's keep reading. Assembly Bill 1080 and Senate Bill 54 would have required plastic producers to cut pollution 75% by 2030 through a combination of recycling, composting, and reducing packaging. In addition, they would have mandated that all single-use plastic products sold in California by 2030 be either recyclable or compostable. And this did not get through. The bill's passage was stymied by opposition from industry lobbyists. Opponents included the Grocery Manufacturers Association, waste management companies, and some agricultural and glass manufacturing industry players. They worried, among other concerns, that the bills would grant too much power to CalRecycle. What a ridiculous argument. The recycling, they might have too much power. Okay. I mean, then they'll recycle even more. I'm cool with that. Then there might be jobs for people that are going to be recycling. I'm still okay with all this. They might have more power than us. What do you guys do? We want to use more plastic that's bad for the environment. I'm fine with them having a greater say than you. But we don't like it. Okay, cool. Somehow that worked though. That worked though for them. We don't want that. The recyclers might have power. We can't have that. We want to pollute the planet. Don't stifle our right to pollute the planet. Okay, we won't. Okay, we won't. They must have had a great opposition campaign. You know, another entity that's not here in the article, but I'm sure has something to do with this. Nestle has a lot of power in California. Nestle has, in fact, there is policy floating out there, no pun intended, to completely privatize our water to Nestle. If that bill ever moved forward or ever was signed into law, it would be a catastrophe. And if we ever get a Republican governor in California, there's a good chance something's going to happen with that thing. And wow, they would completely privatize our water, all of it, to Nestle. But anyway, so I'm sure Nestle had something to do with that too. So we failed to pass bills that really would have curtailed plastic pollution. Not only is this bad news for California, it is bad news for the rest of the country. California is a very large state. It is one of the states that folks look to. Lucy lives in California. Lucy, huge influencer. She is a California resident. She is an active voter in California. She has a lot to say about this. She's very bummed out this didn't pass. But this is bad for California and the rest of the country, too. I hope another state steps up and picks up the ball where California fell short. But we did do some good things during this legislative session, but not passing these bills to fight plastic pollution was not one of them. We fell short here. And Susan, thank you for sharing this story. Guys, I'm going to go to the chat to end the show today. But first, I wanted to recognize a couple things for Music Monday. And unfortunately, not good news for Music Monday. First of all, Eddie Money. He passed over the weekend, I believe, but we did not have a show between now and then. So this is the first time getting to talk about Eddie Money. Eddie Money is no longer with us, and Edwin wanted to share his favorite Eddie Money song. So Edwin's favorite Eddie Money song is, hold on here while I get, let me get to the chat here first. All right. So Eddie Money's favorite song is Baby Hold On, or Edwin's favorite Eddie Money. Say that 5 times. Edwin's favorite Eddie Money song. Now that's not easy. That's not on me. Edwin's favorite Eddie Money song is Baby Hold On. And also Truth Tweet brought up the fact that Rick Ocasek of the Cars passed away. Now, I'm not as hip to the Cars as one would think I probably am, based on a lot of my other musical interests. I appreciate the Cars. I respect them a lot. Rick Ocasek, rest in power. Eddie Money, rest in power. But I'm not as hip to the Cars as some people would be. But, of course, Eddie Money and the Cars, they're the artists of the day today because I want to remember them both. Eddie Money, Baby Hold On is the track that Edwin recommends. Check that out. And the Cars, just what I needed. Double Life. Now, here's a fun fact. Drive, big Cars tune. Fun fact about the Cars, Double Life was the 21st music video ever played on MTV. That's Double Life by the Cars, 21st. They were a big prominent band when MTV was first coming out. Now, for any of you that are under 30, MTV, the M, this is going to blow your mind. If you're under 30 and you're watching the show right now, sit down because you're going to be like, what? Again, Double Life by the Cars, 21st music video ever played on MTV. Now, the M in MTV used to stand for music. Are you, dude? I know, right? You're like, are you kidding me? They used to play music videos. And sometimes late at night, they would even play music videos by like artists that were kind of not so mainstream. They would play videos by Bad Religion and Rancid. Matt Pinfield had a show called 120 Minutes. They would play punk rock music on MTV. The M used to stand for music. Now it stands for, what does it stand for now? What does the M in MTV stand for? Meh. I think that's what it stands for. Meh TV. I think that's what the M stands for now. I'm pretty sure. It definitely doesn't stand for music. It's in meh TV. That's appropriate. Meh TV. That's what it stands for now. But it used to stand for music. Can you believe it? It used to stand for music. Crazy, right? And the Cars, Rick Ocasek, rest in power. Eddie Money, rest in power. Guys, thank you so much for being here. I'm going to go to the chat, see what y'all are saying. And I got some tour dates coming up. Mark your calendars. November, we're coming to Australia. We're coming. Don't wait. Get your tickets now because they're going fast. Perth, Sydney, Melbourne, Adelaide. RonPlacone.com for tickets. We're coming to Australia in November. We can't wait to see you. That's going to be some good stuff. We're going to have some December dates in Southern California. That's Graham Elwood and myself. We're going to be touring a lot in 2020. And we might have some more exciting stand-up news very soon. Don't have anything solid yet, but we might have some big stand-up news coming up. And we're going to be touring a lot in 2020. So in December, we're going to be doing some shows around Southern California. We'll have some more announcements on that very soon. But November, get your tickets now. Do not wait. RonPlacone.com. Los Angeles, the next Ron Placone and Friends is September 26th. Going to be a lot of great special guests on that show. Bill Devlin is doing that show. Murray Valeriano is doing that show. Chris Shaw is doing that show. Raja Michael is on that show. There's going to be some other special guests too. RonPlacone.com for those tickets for all you Los Angeles folks. And if you want to support the show on the sustainability end, please do consider becoming a patron. Patreon.com/RonPlacone. Krillin, thank you very much for the Super Chat contribution. I used to record 120 minutes on VHS. That's awesome. That was, I do remember that show, and I got to meet Matt Pinfield once, and I got to talk to him about it for like 20 minutes. And we talked about 120 minutes for 20 minutes. That's what Matt Pinfield and I did. And we talked about kind of the evolution of MTV, how it used to be a different channel than it was then. And this was years ago. So, meh TV has evolved even further, I guess. But yeah, anyway. So, guys, I'm going to be back in a little bit at 11:30 Pacific time, 2:30 Eastern time. I'm going to be interviewing the anarchist singer-songwriter David Rovics, a dude who definitely has never been played on MTV, I'm pretty sure. Maybe he has, actually. I'll ask him. But David Rovics, anarchist singer-songwriter out of Portland, brilliant singer-songwriter. I've been a big fan of him for a long time. He's got a lot of stuff on the YouTube. Check it out. I'm going to be interviewing him at 2:30 Eastern time, 11:30 a.m. Pacific time. And I want to do more stuff like that. I want to do more interviews. I want to do more segments. So if you are so able, patreon.com/RonPlacone. For you give what you can level, you get an exclusive stream once a week. You get all kinds of stand-up clips not available anywhere else. You get dialogues between me and Lucy, and it's all for a give what you can level. And you help me expand this show, help me make upgrades, help me add more segments, add more interviews. Patreon.com/RonPlacone. Guys, GDNPB, thank you very much for the Super Chat contribution. No fake UN stuff today. Thanks. Okay. I don't know if I did any fake UN stuff. If I did, I try not to do any fake stuff, but, there you go. So thank you very much for the Super Chat contribution. I appreciate that very much. Guys, we will be back tomorrow. Well, wait. We'll be back tomorrow, but also, in the meantime, interview at 2:30 p.m. Eastern time, 11:30 a.m. Pacific time. David Rovics. I'm so stoked to have him. But Get Your News On with Ron, the general show. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same channel, 1 p.m. Eastern time, 10 a.m. Pacific time. In the meantime, you know the drill. Lucy says meow. I say peace. Peace.